Oh, let me get these alerts off so I can see what I'm doing. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, Triumph Tuesday. Yeah, I got to get my dates all together. Good morning, everyone. This is Carol, so AKA Naughty Boss, live with
TwoSistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, Triumph Tuesday on this May 31st, 2022. And excuse me. Obviously, the last day of the month, we are back. We thought we were going to be able to record when we were in California. It didn't work out that way, but we had a flippin' blast. We were somewhat jet lagged, but coming back to feeling like ourselves again. And it's always I don't want to say funny, but you when you're traveling, you notice, very unique things. And yeah, so it was an amazing family time, beautiful wedding at the vineyard. I just can't say enough great things about it.
Yeah, it was a fun time. And, there was a couple times we were going to go live. And then, we were really, just in the moment of being with family. And we had some many laughs. But speaking of family, before we get too much into that, I want to wish our cousin Cody Ekstrom a happy 21st birthday. Our cousin Eileen's son, 21 years old. This young man, when we first met him only a few years ago, we were highly impressed with him. Just a nice gentleman. He reminds me of someone, sometimes you see somebody young and they just have that old soul. That's what he reminds me of. So we are wishing him a happy 21st birthday. Today's May 31st, the last day of the month. Also, our good friends, happy anniversary to Mark and Linda. Today's their anniversary. I can't remember what date it is. I want to say it's like 47th anniversary. I'm not 100% sure. I'm usually pretty good with numbers. Something on that, 47, 48, maybe even 49, but I don't think it might be 49. No, it's definitely not 49. I think it's 48. But it's funny how those numbers, just kind of go through your head of that pop up and you think, how could you even remember them? I do vaguely remember them being a couple of years behind us, but I'm not 100% exactly sure when. But whatever it is, doesn't matter about the number. Happy anniversary to them. And it's the last day of the month. This is the last day of the month. Very, very big for a lot of entrepreneurs getting their last minute things going with their teams or whatever they're excited about at the same time that they're preparing for the next month, which tomorrow will be June 1st. So, triumphing over what could be things that you triumphed over. Well, one of the big things that was trending all weekend that myself had to triumph over was the delay and or a sudden cancellation of your flight. Now, funny thing is, I have flown JetBlue, I don't know, just in the last 2.5 years, over 60 times. And I've been, I would say a very dependable customer, because even before that, I flew a lot as well. And JetBlue would always be my first choice. I think I've had 2 delays with them, one a little bit more longer than the other, but nothing unusual. These things happen. When you travel, that's one of the chances you take when you travel, that you may have some issues that come up. You may have delays come up. You may have whether that's a weather delay or whatever, but obviously with the last 2.5 years, this was probably, since what I call the United States, opening up, because Florida has been open for much sooner than a lot of the other states that are around us. So I would say this is probably the very first weekend, other than last Thanksgiving weekend, which they had some similar issues, where you got that huge volume of people traveling. It was Memorial Day weekend. It's always a bit busy wedding weekend. I can't tell you how many weddings, anniversaries and or weddings I've attended that were really taken on the Memorial Day weekend holiday. And a lot of people plan it accordingly to that, because that allows, extra time on the weekend, extra party time, especially if it's a destination wedding, you get those extra days in. So I wasn't not surprised. because the night before when we were watching TV, right before we went to bed, they were talking about how many people were surging the San Diego area. And that was playing in the back of my head because I'm thinking, well, Sunday shouldn't be as busy as Monday, but you never know with with those kind of Monday holidays. Some people, even though they're going away for the holiday, they still want to be home by the holiday when the holiday reaches, which is usually that Monday. So you just never know. So sure enough, I'm out with Ryan and our brother Fran, and we were traveling all through La Jolla, and specifically La Jolla Cove. Absolutely breathtaking views, great restaurants, great bars, great little boutique type shops. And so we, for about an hour and a half, the three of us kind of split up to venture out. Ryan ended up going to the beach where he got more red tomato-y looking. So his face got pretty burnt. Fran went back to the car because he needed a nap. And, I just kind of explored. And then, of course, my phone needed charging. And I knew it was fast approaching the time that the Celtics would be playing. So I ended up going to Duke's, right on, overlooks the bay / ocean Pacific. And it just, you got the cliffs, you got this, the waves crashing, breathtaking views. So I sat at the bar, was charging my phone. And then, Lord and behold, the other two chime in, where are you at? I said, well, I'm here. Fran, of course, was hungry. Now, Ryan and I weren't super hungry because literally we had lunch like 3-4 hours before that. And we're like, you're hungry again? Okay, no worries. We'll go to the upstairs bar because it's a little bit more open. You'll get to see the views and we'll watch the game. Having a great time talking to some, local people. It's fun when you travel, you get to talk to people, sit at the bar. Watching a spectacular game, we watched the first half there and it was great. Celtics were on point. They were doing, let me just dim that there, let him know I can't speak right now. And all of a sudden, we ordered, Brian and I order hummus with veggies, Fran gets his burger. And all of a sudden I get this weird phone call, but it says JetBlue on it because I have JetBlue numbers programmed in. I'm like, oh, this can't be good. So I pick up and it's an automatic message, trying to reach Carol Suri. Just to let you know, your flight's canceled. your flight is canceled. And it was one of those moments where, I don't know if you remember the movie Breaking Away, old movie. And there's a funny moment in the movie where this young son his dad works at or owns a used car lot, and some patrons come back to bring the car back in, and it's broken, and they're asking for a refund. So the father's like, refund. So his son, who's about to enter college, says, Papa. He's calling him Papa. Just so you know, we have to be a man of our word, and you got to give him back his money. So shortly after that, the father has a heart attack. So the next scene is he's in the hospital, and that's all you hear him say, refund. And I started cracking up because I'm like, canceled, you're getting me canceled. So I'm like, I've had to deal with delays. I've never had somebody just call up and say, your flight's canceled. So I go back to look at emails, and sure enough, like 20 minutes prior to that, they had sent out an email stating that the flight would be delayed. Now the original flight time is 9:45 p.m. San Diego time. So now they stretched it to 1:16 a.m. in the morning. And then 20 minutes later, they just canceled it. So frequently when you get, where they don't go through the whole go to the airport and you're delayed 20 minutes, half hour, 2 hours in that long stretch, they just went for the kill. They just went for the cancel. And, it could have been of where it was originated from. A lot of people said that there was some bad weather in Miami. It was raining. Well, we have bad weather in Florida. You do get those tropical storms. So that shouldn't have been any big issue because nothing really other than some rain came down. But anyways, it is what it is. So I got Ryan to my left, Fran to my Ryan to my right, Fran to my left. I said, okay, start looking. Let me see if I can get a hold of JetBlue. Of course, you call JetBlue and you can now go on your True Blues, website. It'll be faster and blah, 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 blah. You'll have a wait time of 120 minutes. A lot of times they do it in minutes. And I'm actually glad they do, because it, resonates with you better. An hour and 20 doesn't sound too much. 122 minutes. I'm not waiting online. I'm watching a Celtics game. We'll figure this out. So, Lord behold, great. We find a flight out fairly soon, not with JetBlue, with Alaska, but it leaves at 7 a.m. But it's a nonstop, but it goes to Orlando. So originally I was flying to Fort Lauderdale. I'm like, okay, well, I was picking up a rental car there. That's the easy fix. John can pick me up in Orlando. That's fine. But then you don't know, because I've never dealt with a canceled flight. So we make the decision that I'm going to go to the airport with the two of them, because I thought, well, if it's not leaving until 7 a.m., maybe there's a hotel close by. But I want to see what the procedure is with JetBlue, because they're the ones who cancel it on me. So you go, and who wants to spend hours waiting in line? But that's what you got to do. So I did. And basically, they don't give, obviously they don't know that, the people behind the desk do not know. And, I was watching other couples and other family members go up, and they're just beside themselves, arguing, you can't do this. So, and where I was in place in line, I already knew there was no way they were going to find me a flight that quickly. And they might find me a flight, but it would be a 2 to 3 day event, which I wasn't not going to go along with. So I had the Alaska flight in my pocket, but I still wanted to go through the right channels. So so it's my turn to go up, and I look at the people behind me. I said, don't worry. Because they were like, why are these people, some of the couples were up there for, an hour, and they only had 2 agents. And then all of a sudden they finally got 3 more to come in to handle the crowd, because it was a fairly big crowd. So I said, I promise you, I won't be that long. And they're like, you're going to find a flight that quick? And I said, just, we'll see what happens. So I go up there, and I said, well, what's your procedure? What flight do you have available? So the flight they had available for me at that point, because you got to remember there's many other people in front of me, I would fly from San Diego to Boston, and I believe it was like a 10-hour layover, and then I would go from Boston to Orlando. And I'm like, well, if I'm going up north, I stay up, like I'm going to stay a few days. So that's, not doing that. But I knew I had to get back because I'm traveling again this upcoming weekend. So I'm like, yeah. And I, meetings and just things going on. I said, no, I got to get home. So I said, no, that's not going to happen. So I said, then what is your procedure if I find a flight on my own, which I already knew I had a flight. So they're like, yeah, if you don't book through us, you can't get the voucher for the hotel. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not really a big deal, because in my mind I already knew I had a 7 a.m. flight. And right now it's, 8 o'clock. So it's not really a big deal. So I do that. And then long story short, they tell me, well, we can't give you the voucher. We can give you a full credit on your flight. And I'm like, and I hope then some, because the flight, if I find a flight, it's probably going to be more. So the flight that they were going to put me on, there was 1 seat left. Guess how much it was? They're going to die.
Sorry about that. How much?
$906. Now, I wouldn't have found it. They would have put me on it.
Right.
But that's how much it would have been, $906. I'm like, this is just crazy. So long story short, I wasn't at the counter very long. I said, just refund me, the amount of money. And, I will follow up with the email come Monday or Tuesday, which is today. And I will follow up with the email, and hopefully they'll make it right for, because a lot of people were really severely stranded. Like there was one woman I felt so bad for. She was traveling, obviously we were going to Fort Lauderdale, and then she had another flight out of Miami to go home. She was from Amsterdam, and she is supposed to fly out today. And she was not sure. There was no flights back to Fort Lauderdale for today. And she had to get back to that area because she was taking another flight out of Miami International to go back home to Amsterdam. So there was just a lot of quirky things like that. And I thought, you're not in control of it and you got to triumph over it. And when you travel, the bottom line is you always take that chance, even the best of times. Now, what they're obviously saying is there was a lot more people, and obviously they've got a pilot shortage. So I'm sure it had something to do with that. I could not really see that it was anything severely related to weather because the radar didn't support that. So that's what I'm assuming. It was probably that. So the person behind the counter has no control over, a shortage of pilots. She has no control. They're just trying to do the job. So why argue with them? So I just said, I said, well, it's disappointing. I said, it's disappointing that you're telling me that the protocol is that the difference in the flight cost that JetBlue would not make up. So I said, I'll address that with the appropriate people. And I said, I'm disappointed that just because I choose not to take a flight that you're offering that's not conducive to where I got to go, doesn't get me home in time where I was expected to be. I still think you've already stranded your customer, that you still would give the voucher for a hotel. Funny thing on that piece now, so I go to Alaska Airlines to get my boarding pass for the next morning while I was there. And I said, well, this time it's now, 9:30 at night, 9:45 at night. Where I'm going to find a hotel, which I probably could have found one, but I got to be back at, 5 a.m. So I'm like, oh, we'll just crash here. So, a bunch of us get into, go to the gate. And I have a little nightcap. And I just kind of relax, as much as you can relax at at an airport. The chairs are not the most comfortable, but you make do. And I dozed off, and all of a sudden, I feel somebody like lightly tapping me. And, you're kind of nervous because you got all your belongings around you, you get your startled, ma'am, you can't sleep here. And I thought, well, what if this was a flight delay? And they're like, oh no, security's closed now. And I've never seen an airport do this. This was another first. So they closed the security. So when they know there's no more flights coming in, and even though there's passengers that are stranded, and maybe this is the same procedure at other airports. I've just never experienced it before. So we had to leave you go through TSA to where the gates are. You had to leave the gate. I'm like, we've already been through security. Everything's closed down. What do you think we're going to do? We're going to have a toilet paper party? Throwing toilet paper? I don't know. Because they still have security there. They can still monitor it. But I'm like, okay, whatever. Go to the other side. Got to go through this gate. And literally, that's when you see the volumes of people. And people are on the floor. All the chairs are taken, and there are not a lot of chairs in that area because that's right before TSA. And I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. So now it's like, I'm awake. It's 2 a.m. And I'm looking around. I said, I'm not sitting on the floor, with my hip and knee and all that. There's no way I'm sitting on the floor, and I wouldn't do it anyways. So I find a wheelchair. There's a whole stack of wheelchairs. I grab a wheelchair. And they were not the comfy wheelchairs, by the way. That was okay, as long as I had somewhere to sit. So I sat, and then TSA opened up 2 hours later, which that's the whole thing that I thought was kind of bizarre. You're making people leave for a couple hours only to go back in. Oh, well, you got to do it, right? You got to follow orders. So 4 a.m. I go back in, flight doesn't leave till 7. So I got to the bathroom, had a chance to change clothes, freshen up, because I had all my stuff with me, which was great. And I waited for the flight. Alaska, I've never flown them before. I highly recommend them. They've got the big leather chairs back in the day when most planes had them. Very comfortable, great staff, no issues, great takeoff, great landing. And from what I understand, they always do nonstops to the San Diego area out of Orlando. So that's good to remember. So so today is jet lag day, which is normal after you've traveled. And, another thing you have to triumph over when you're traveling is if there's a time delay. So if you have, you're coming in from a different time zone, it takes 1 hour for every hour of a time change. It takes 1 week for your body, your health and wellness, your mind, your gut to get back in order. So it's like a 3-week process. And ironically, I won't even have time to adjust to that because I'm traveling next weekend, but then the following week I'm back in San Diego. So my body's going to be going. So I've already got the mindset that I'm just letting my body do what it's going to do my best to be in control. of, make sure I'm hydrating, like all of you should be hydrating. When you travel, you don't necessarily eat the same way. I think I did pretty good overall, other than, more extra guacamole that I wouldn't normally have because, we went to Old Town San Diego, which was fun, and ate a lot of guacamole there. And then there was another place we ate guacamole. So, I mean, it just, you got to try for all those things. But what I tell people when you're traveling, you got to be patient and understand not only is it out of your control, usually the person that you're dealing with is out of their control too. So just be kind. So that was my long spiel.
Traveling is, we all act differently. My tummy gets a little nerve wracked, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. So I'm prepared for that and make sure I have, the necessary things. But, when you travel, patience goes a long way. Like even when you feel that frustration, like I felt some frustration going with TSA, and I'm just kind of like, going with the flow, even when, one of the agents kind of yelled in my direction and you got to move out of there. And I was waiting for one more thing. And it's very interesting though, like I said, what you notice and how you notice it. So, having never been to Chicago Midway, obviously going back, I was more used to it. So there was like this little tucked away area with some tables and, where I could plug in, my devices and whatnot and just relax a little bit. That was tough because I had a 5-hour layover, but that you just have to deal with it. And, I was famished. And I will say though, about airline, I should say airport food sucks. It just does.
It does, and it's annoying because, you want some healthy choices. I'm just going to respond to Sandy's joining us. Yep, she loves her avocados. I know she uses those in a lot of her different, I'm watching my husband right outside my door cut my purple flowers down. Do not cut them down. Oh, bam, he's cutting them right in front of my eyes. Speaking of purple flowers, and good morning, Sandy, by the way. Yes, Sandy says she gets dehydrated too. And that's the one thing that, elevation, plays havoc on your hydration, your skin, your ears, all those things that, you have to take a plate, and then you get down on the ground. Now, ironically, when we were in La Jolla on Sunday, again, different elevation. I believe the elevation in San Diego is 1,000 feet above sea level. And La Jolla was like 800 and Temecula was another. So your body even goes through, I know when we were traveling, we had a van, family members in the van, and some ears would pop and some wouldn't. And, it had to do with who was drinking more water than others, I found. And you have to do that. You have to keep hydrating. You have to keep trying to the best of your ability to eat the things that you normally would to keep on track for those belly issues. Don't you think, Jan?
Oh, absolutely. The hydration is very important. And, I was lucky as far as, I flew Southwest to be in the A boarding, where they have different sections. I was in the A category. So I was able to get on fairly quickly. And I try to sit in the aisle seat as much as possible because, with a long flight, I'm in that respectable age bracket where, I need to get up easily enough, obviously, to get to the lavatory. When I did fly back from Midway back to Hartford, I was on a new aircraft. It was beautiful. It was very roomy. But the trip it was amazing. It was so much fun. Like you said, so many laughs and just the views. Sandy mentioned about San Diego. Yes, it's absolutely gorgeous.
About Coronado, which we didn't get to see. We got to see La Jolla, but I'm going to try to get in Coronado when I go back in another week or so, because there's just so much to see, so much to do. And the other big thing, even if you're not in that that age bracket where you have to get up, you still should be getting up. When I got off the plane And because that was like it was a nonstop, but I was just too comfortable. The seats were comfortable. I'm like, I'm not going to, I can just have little sips of water. Well, when the time that I did finally get out, my ankles were like cankles, elephantitis, as I call it. So my calves, my ankles are still swollen. So today I'm making sure that, definitely no sodium, hydration, floating on the pool, doing some movement in the pool is what the doctor ordered for me today. And that's one of the things about being on a long flight is even if you don't have to go to the bathroom, you still need to get up and get that movement, get that blood flowing, because that's what can occur is you get, that water and it just shoots right to the legs because you're in that position for so long. So I think part of that had to do with waiting around at the airport and then a long flight on top of it did not do that for me too well. So yeah, I'm still looking at elephantitis legs. Yuck.
Hate when that happens. Yeah, but oh my God, what a great trip.
What travel advice would you give?
Great question, because I noticed this obviously with the packing procedure. And then of course, the packing procedure coming home. So here is my advice. If you're going for 4 days, take 3 days of clothes. You pack as limited as possible, because when you're out and about, you go into this store, you buy a little this, you buy a little that. Well, I had to open up the extender on my suitcase. And when I tell you I was packed and could not fit in anything else, could not fit in, even in my backpack, every little crevice was filled. So pack very light. If you're going, like I said, for however amount of days, divide that in half and bring that many clothes. I mean, you can always find a washer, dryer somewhere, because you're going to go out to different places. Oh, buy this t-shirt, this sweatshirt.
That's true.
And obviously in when you bring your carry-on, because a lot of people do like to check their luggage, and this trip really was my first time bringing my luggage on with me, which I love so much better. Is whatever is your main pocket, to make sure you have handy in there, your chapstick, or, maybe your tummy pills, the Tums, or, stuff like that. So it's easily accessible. So those are my travel tips.
Those are awesome. I always say, because I do generally pack now for an overhead and under the seat, I try not to check in luggage. And if I'm not checking in luggage, and even if I am checking in luggage, I always make sure I've got one outfit in that's with me. So in my carry-on, or whatever, my toiletries. Because again, if you get stranded at the airport and, I have a deodorant, I have, my toothbrush, I even pack a washcloth so I can wash my face, set of makeup, whatever I'm going to put on my face. I have that with me. And of course, obviously my nutritional gut health. I always pack an extra day. Thankfully, here I was stuck. So I always pack an extra day. So I have that with me. But whatever your essentials are, and then for those of us that really have to be careful, that our tummies get disrupted, pack some of your favorite treats, a protein bar, anything that's small and that you can carry with you for an emergency. So if you're stuck somewhere, and in this particular case, you're stuck somewhere and you're there late at night, a lot of the restaurants are closed. You can't even get a bottle of water. So make sure you kind of look at your surroundings. What are some things that I desperately need that I couldn't take through security? One of them being bottled water. So grab a bottle of water so you have it. And then just make sure you've got all your necessity toiletries and a change of clothing. I do agree with packing light. However, I can't do it. I always pack, I do the opposite. I pack one outfit extra. But what I've learned over my years of packing is color coordination. So in other words, if like this particular trip, the color was pink, I was wearing a lot of pink. So that limited me, because I'm like a flip-flop plus shoe person. to, I only brought one pair of black flip-flops, a pair of pink, and then my pink dress shoes. So that limited that piece to it. I didn't have to pack an extra pocketbook. I had the same color jewelry that I needed. So I try to pack with coordination of my colors, so that keeps my packing down. But you're right, because I did buy a great sweatshirt. It was an American flag sweatshirt, which was really cool. And those are bulky. But the good thing about that is I wore it yesterday, and then my other sweatshirt I used as a blanket. So I didn't have those two bulky items in. But yes, on the way home, I did have to use the expander too. And I didn't, I bought mostly small things. So it could have been just the way I packed. I don't know. But, those are some great tips. Like, even if you're going away for the weekend, and you're not flying somewhere, maybe you're going to someone's house, maybe you're, at a hotel, camping, whatever it may be, make sure that those easily things that you need are readily available for you, so you're not scrambling. So those are some great tips on this Triumph Tuesday. We gave you some great tips on traveling and how you triumph over adversities that happen that are out of your control. I'm really excited about Trending Thursday this week, because I've got a couple of things. One item that which is a cool trending item. I'll give you a hint. I should have taken it with me, but I forgot. And then there was another great traveling item that I did take with me that came to good use. So I'm going to be sharing those on Thursday. So I'm excited about that.
Well, I have to say that I believe that I know what those two things are. Could be totally off wrong. And I will chat. I want to chat further about my, going through security, because I have more to add to that. But on that note, we hope that you triumph over adversity. Hydrate well. It's going to be hot in a lot of areas in the country today. Come back tomorrow. We will be on at 11 a.m. with our guests. So come back often. We'd love to have you. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, and I'm with TwoSistas,
and this is Carol, so aka Naughty Bus, live, getting my jet lag on, or getting it off, I should say, and nurturing my elephantitis legs. What are you going to be triumphing over? I'm sure whatever it is, you're going to do marvelous, and you're going to keep that in your book and your checklist so you can celebrate that on Fantabulous Friday. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for Wellness Wednesday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.